Hey fellas, how you doing? Listen, I wanted to share some things that have really helped me, to overcome my social anxiety. Please excuse me, I've got a lot of concepts I'm trying to explain. It's hard sometimes getting stuff out on a video because you have an idea about what you're going to talk about when you press record. Sometimes I've got a lot of voices in my head is busy, so I just need to clear my head. Let me just walk a little bit. So, social anxiety is what a lot of people are struggling with that I work with and that are following the channel. Now I can honestly say that I understand every single intricacy of this fear of people, this fear of meeting people. You may think that I look confident and I have got a lot of courage, but believe me, I've always been scared throughout many years of my life, especially with social anxiety. For many years I was scared. I just hid it very well and I got better at managing it until I could finally fully overcome it, and I'll talk about that in a second. So I'm quite excited to talk about this video because I'm going to be talking about a number of things that are going to help you to build self-esteem, social confidence, all the names that we want and we aspire to be. They're all different names for the same thing, which I've said before in my videos, which is love, self-love. So now I know when I was struggling with social anxiety, I didn't want this answer. I didn't want to hear, you probably don't want to hear what I'm going to say to you, because yeah, you don't want to hear it because deep down you know it's the truth and it's scary, and it means facing your fear. So the only way to overcome social anxiety disorder, I know I'm talking about the spiritual aspect, which is important, but the only way to overcome speaking to people and sitting with people is to actually do it. So I'm going to try and explain. I feel like I'm not getting this today. I feel like I'm just not getting my message across. The words feel a little bit like they're not connecting to what I'm saying. Hopefully you understand what I mean. When you're frightened and you've got fear, the things that go through your mind is, what are people going to think about me? What if I mess up when I go to meet people? What if I make social mistakes? What if they can see that I'm nervous? And a lot of it comes down to them judging you and rejecting you. And I know for me, I went through all these things, and looking back, it's only now I've got more confident. I realised back then how frightened I was. And I know it's so, and I just want to say that it's okay to be frightened. There's a huge stigma in our society. And it's just the ego, it's the collection of the false ego. We feel that we're less of a person because we're afraid. I'm afraid every week. I'm scared every week. So I feel fear every day. I feel fear every day because every single day I'm pushing myself. But I want to explain why that's not a bad thing, why that's a good thing. I knew this is not going to make sense. Because to have a lot of love in your life, which I do, you have to face fear. You have to face fear to prove that the fear is not real and it doesn't exist. The fear only exists as a feeling. It does exist biologically. And the feeling comes from identifying with the negative thoughts. So if you get thoughts in your mind before you meet people, that people are not going to like me, they're going to see bad in me, you're going to project that back, you're going to judge them, you're going to see bad in them, and you're going to actually create something that is not there, doesn't have to be there. Listen to my mindset, what I'm going to give you. I'm going to be contradicting a lot in this, but this is just how I've learned. I'm not doing well to explain this video, give me a second. So it got to a point for me was, I'll tell you exactly what happened to me. I couldn't handle the fact that I couldn't get good with women. I wanted a girlfriend. Of course I wanted a girlfriend. So my social anxiety affected my confidence with women. And that really traumatized me, it frightened me, it scared the life out of me, because I thought, I can't imagine being by myself, not having a girlfriend. It just didn't feel right it just didn't feel right, and it scared the life out of me. Then the social fear of anxiety gave me the fear that I can't handle the thought of not making money. I was poor for most of my life growing up. If I don't have any money, I can't go out, I can't take a woman out, I can't take care of myself, I can't have any financial freedom, I can't travel. And it wasn't so much the money, it was the feeling of feeling inadequate. And then that frightened me more. So I learned that avoiding fear brings on more fear. That scared the shit out of me at the start. Made me petrified, scared, made me feel insecure, made me feel more inadequate, and definitely affected my whole voice about being a man or being a person. And it brought up a lot of issues for me. It brought up my issues from the past with my dad, it brought up issues with bullying, and it brought up a lot of the things that I did wrong in my life that I was ashamed about and guilty about, and I've spoken about them. A lot of my violence and my low self-esteem, cheating, stealing, prostitutes. So can you hear what I was dealing with? And I'm assuming that, well, a lot of guys I work with are dealing with a very similar story to me. So this is a story. Obviously some of these things are true. If you've done these things, and you've done bad things, we all make mistakes. You may have got a history of making social mistakes, which I did. So you're awkward in social situations, and I'm still naturally a little bit awkward, but I've overcome my anxiety. It's just because I've accepted myself more, and I'm confident with that awkwardness. But back then I was ashamed of my awkwardness because I had certain nervous tics. You might see them sometimes when I'm making videos. It's like now, I get a bit confused, I stutter a bit, but that's okay. I've accepted that. But back then I couldn't accept that. I didn't want people to see those tics. I was very, very hard on myself. I was expecting, you know, to be a perfectionist, which causes more anxiety. So this ongoing self-pitying, self-destructive, self-sabotaging, frightened, insecure way of thinking made me go, no, I can't handle it. I can't meet them, can't do it. So I would cancel all my meetings. I'd cancel dates with girls, a lot of family gatherings. I could only be around people that I felt comfortable with, and that just wasn't good enough for me, because that wasn't a large enough amount of people. They were just my close friends. I didn't feel judged by them, of course. But meeting new people, developing new relationships, and just day-to-day social situations, I just kept avoiding it, and my insecurity got worse and worse, and I kept looking for stuff on the internet. I was just, you know, like keeping my ear to the ground, trying to find ways of getting a method to avoid this uncomfortable feeling, and I never found one. I never found one, because it didn't exist. And I wish it did exist. I wish it existed so I could post it through this video now and give you this quick fix. It doesn't exist. But actually something better existed, and it's called earning love, earning self-esteem. So I got to a point where I thought, right, how am I going to do this? I want to be confident. I know I've got it in me somewhere deep down, and I know that I can get women. It wasn't an arrogance. It was actually, it's really weird for me, but this is how I was so insecure. I was so frightened of being judged by people, so frightened of being rejected and abandoned. But underneath that, deeper down, there was a real truth. I was extremely confident, and I had a lot of love for myself, and I had a lot of love for people, and I knew that I could get women, and I knew that I could go to social events. I knew I could be confident with people, but it was deeply buried underneath my social anxiety. So I thought, I've got to be honest with myself. There's no other way but to face it. I'm gonna have to sit through it, and I'm gonna have to sit in those feelings, and those feelings are not comfortable. So I understand those feelings are paranoid when you're around people. Lots of vicious thoughts going off, psychotic thoughts, some of the most horrific, heinous thoughts that you just don't want anyone to know about. But guess what? I've got news for you. Everyone has those thoughts, even people that haven't had social anxiety disorder. We all have a voice that is critical, is conditioning. That's the egoic mind. So I was frightened by my own internal voices that would start coming on when I'd be around people. So I thought to myself, I started to envision myself being confident, just that gradually, nothing weird, jumping in the mirror, just normally. I just tried to hold it, and it was hard. I could sometimes get it, I could see myself, I could feel how it feels to be comfortable around people and to be having nice conversations and connecting and be free of judgment, be normal, socially confident, and it made me feel good. That gave me a bit of a lift. Then I thought to myself, how would I be in a couple of years or even 6 months if I practice every single day, talking to people, talking to women, and improving my confidence with women? I knew if I could get more socially relaxed with women, I knew I could attract women, because I've always had those other qualities, and we all do. You have it as well, everyone does. Once you're socially relaxed, your true personality comes out. That's why you don't need tricks or lines, you don't need that stuff. So I thought, this is a fair deal. And this is true. Every time I face fear, I get love. It's literally true. And I don't mean that in a way where you're begging on your hands and knees for people to love you. I'm not talking about that. It's from yourself. So my own deeds, my own actions, and it's private. Most times I was meeting people, they didn't even know I had social anxiety. I hid it very well. I managed the feelings. I managed it, got better. It was hard for sometimes I broke and I said I'm nervous, or people could see it. I could see that they could see I was nervous, and it was fine. People washed it over. You're not a criminal, you're not less of a person because you've got social anxiety. It's just an anxiety or a mental disorder. So when I would go and face it, it was uncomfortable, it wasn't enjoyable. I didn't enjoy the conversations with people. I couldn't listen properly, I wasn't present, I was suffering, I was paranoid. But I got through it and I left. I'd come back home and I would, I'll be honest, I'd feel a bit vulnerable. I'd feel a bit damaged. It did bring up my issues. But I'd also get this tide of love that would come over me, this relaxation. And it was the same feeling that I got when I went and did a day's work. That feeling of, you know, when you contribute, you feel like you're being a man. Or if you're a woman watching this, you feel good in yourself because you've done something. I like that feeling. I didn't know back then that feeling was what my whole teaching about. That feeling was love. That feeling was self-love. And it's not self-love. It's not in the soppy sense. It's not in the weak sense. I actually could feel self-confidence, self-esteem. I could feel it going up a bit. Of course I still had the anxiety, so I thought this is quite a good formula I've got going, and it's 100% works. It's not comfortable, it's terrifying, but it does work, and it's building my confidence, and it's taking those feelings down. So I suppose what I'm saying is what I've said before, that even my mentors have said, and other people that I've looked up to, I found purpose, even without realizing it back then. But I didn't even really use that word. I like that now because I heard that from my mentor, and I've heard it from different teachers, Tony Robbins, Les Brown. Now everyone's saying it. But I found purpose. The purpose was love. The purpose was to overcome the social anxiety, which is love. You've got to love yourself to want to. You've got to love yourself. Even if you think you can't love yourself and you can't find love, I've been in that place, you don't feel that it's possible to be loved, you've got to dig deep. And of course, you know where I went. I went to the same place that you did. I went to God, or I went to that intuitive feeling, that deep, in-depth feeling. And this sounds like I'm being dramatic, just because some people think, fucking hell, that's a lot. It's just social fear. Why are you getting so deep? Well, it was deep. That's how scared I was. I want people to know that. A lot of my students, they think I'm not frightened. They think that I just woke up out of bed and I had anxiety and I became confident. And that would be great. That would be nice to believe that. That's very nice for my ego, but I was very scared. I was just as scared as all my students. I had a lot of courage. I had courage since I was younger. I've spoken about before. I had courage. And the courage came from the inability to be able to handle the depression and the anxiety and the feelings of low self-esteem and suicidal thoughts. I thought, I'm not staying here. This is a victim. This isn't being a man. This is being a mummy's boy, and I'm not a mummy's boy, but I kind of am a mummy's boy because I do love my mum. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to gradually build this. So I'm not going to blame people. I'm not going to, even though I was blaming them, because when you've got that anxiety, it's hard, but you hate people because you're going to hate you. But I didn't go into that. I tried my best to stay away from that because I knew that wasn't who I was. Obviously, it was fear. I started to get a little bit more easier. I wanted to get more relaxed. Oh, that meeting was actually not as bad as the last meeting. And then I would say, and then when my whole journey with meeting women, and that was, well, when I first got into teaching men how to meet women, I'm terrified going on dates with women. You can't even imagine. Again, people see a lot of the videos on YouTube, and you're seeing not the finished article, but you're seeing me well in the development of lots of years of experience, but petrified when I first went on dates. I remember my first earlier dates, I couldn't even hardly speak. I couldn't hear anything the woman was saying because I was in my head. I was so scared, and I was just agreeing. I was people pleasing. I wasn't there. I was scared to death. I don't know how most of the women didn't notice. I think they did notice it. They probably just liked me. They liked me as who I was as a person, but I couldn't perform in the sense. Well, I couldn't perform. That's actually true. Freudian slip. I couldn't perform in the conversation, and when it came down to the kissing and making love, that frightened the hell out of me. That's for another video. But every time it got a little bit easier, and the more honest I was, the better it got. Sometimes honest meant calling out, saying I'm a bit nervous. You know, excuse me, I feel nervous. And then that would make me feel better. The girl would appreciate that. I could breathe, settle down. And then I'd find myself, I'd find my true self, and then the date would go really well. And sometimes the date would go disastrous. The girl wouldn't like me, and I could just see, and then it didn't work out. But I still felt good. Because even if you get rejected, it's just, we're not using a language. I don't think anything's rejection. I went away and I thought, I did it. It was like every time I do it, it was another notch on my belt. I went to the meeting, I did it. So I started off on a smaller scale, which is really the same. Then when I first started teaching, I had quite a lot of fear to teach. I was still working through it, but I just kept doing it, teaching. I love teaching. Then I went on to public speaking, and I've been using the same formula ever since, and it's massively built my confidence. That's why I'm really confident, because it's really simple, really. I suppose the whole video is about facing fear and getting better, but I've gave you a lot there. It's also, it's not just facing fear nilly-willy. It's not just rushing in like a lunatic. You're calculated in the sense that you're not manipulative, but you're changing your mindset. You're changing the way that you think about people and yourself, and you're using purpose. You're using love. And this sounds weird to say this, but I mean this. I really mean this. You may feel that you don't have the love at the start, but it's safe, it's ready for you. The love is there ready for you. It's in yourself anyway. But when you're going for anxiety, there's a lot of trauma, you don't feel it, it's an illusion, and it's powerful. But the love is safe, it's waiting for you. It's quite beautiful, I just said this, I didn't know I was going to say this. The love is at the end of every fear. And I realised that with making money, it was the same thing. I had to do what I had to do, and be honest. It's very important that you're honest, because if you're not honest and you lie and you cheat, you don't receive the love. I didn't know I was going to say that. That has come from a place of truth. Now my words are really flowing. So I did that, and that's helped me to be successful in every area of my life. So it's very simple. The formula is face fear, suffer the feelings and feeling afraid, get a little bit better every time, find a huge purpose for putting yourself through suffering, because no one wants to suffer for no reason. So me doing this video, this is the same thing. Okay, I'm not terrified. I've been doing some time, I enjoy it. Before I did this video, it's a little bit of an initial story in my head about, I'm not sure if I have to say this, it's a little bit exposing, but I love doing this. I'm being myself and being honest. It's going to help a lot of people. It's worked. I've not uploaded the video yet. Obviously, if you're watching now, it would be uploaded. This can help a lot of people. So I faced my fear today by coming on a video blog, coming out to the world, being vulnerable, being open, telling the truth about what's built confidence in every area of my life. Financially, with making money, transforming and helping people with their life, dating and relationships with women, all of these areas. It's phenomenal. And I never said nothing that is spectacular, because everyone knows it deep down, but most people, what they do is, they don't want to face their fear, and I'm not judging that, I understand it. And many times I didn't face my fears. Sometimes I get fears in my life even now, and I say, I can't deal with that now, I'll come back next week, it's okay. So it's all, you don't beat yourself up. There's no beating yourself up in this process. You can't lose in this. You're loving yourself unconditionally throughout the whole time. And eventually you'll have a breakthrough. And I'll tell you what a breakthrough looks like, and feels like, actually, that's better. You suddenly have a moment of clarity when you say, I'm not scared anymore. I feel good, this is great. Then you know that you're overcoming your social anxiety or your fear. Same, social fear and fear in life, it's all the same illusion that gives you a feeling. It's just you're an illusion that you've created that you have to dissolve. So you will suddenly feel the difference, and you'll forget, and then you'll look back and say, wow, I used to be scared, I'm not scared anymore. And that's the same with confidence of women. So this came after going on hundreds of dates with women, hundreds of social meetings, business meetings, public speaking, and teaching people the same. That's my teaching. So it's incredibly honest. You can't cheat this, you can't lie. And I'll just say it again, you are allowed to be afraid. If people see that you're afraid, it's okay, you have permission. And guess what? A deeper truth. Everyone is scared as well. I've been teaching for 5 years. I've got a lot of experience of human behaviour. Even people that don't have social anxiety have got social anxiety. I still have a little bit myself. Every time we meet someone new, let's be really honest, we've always got a little bit of worry, what's this person going to think about me? What am I going to think about this person? Are we going to get on? We wouldn't be human if we didn't have that. So we've all got fear, but we develop a confident identity with people in the world so we can be ourselves, and we're not going to freak out when we get a little bit of feeling coming through. If I'm talking to someone, I have a feeling of fear coming through, I've got the experience, I've got the spiritual control and the psychological control not to identify that, let it process and just align back to being relaxed. And you'll notice that other people have it. Then you'll get to a stage and you'll have to earn this, and you will earn it, because I know that you guys are serious and girls watching it, where, and I don't mean this in a defensive way, because you probably spent majority of your life feeling intimidated by people. People will be intimidated by your confidence, and if you're a kind, honest, sincere person, which I know that you are, or you aspire to be better, you will start making people feel more comfortable when you notice that they're intimidated. Because when I improved, I noticed that a lot of people got intimidated around me, and I didn't like that, because I knew how it felt to feel intimidated about people. So you use your social skills, and it's honestly, it's just that human intuition of making a person feel comfortable. So it's been a very beautiful journey for me, and that's how I did it. And that came from pure, it's just common sense. And I tried a lot of methods before that, and they didn't work, because they overpromised and they under-delivered by saying, if you use this method, you're going to have no fear. It's not true, because I've been teaching for 5 years, and I've been talking to people for, it's been years. And I don't know how many women I've dated and how many men I've taught to date women. I've been in this area, I've been fascinated with this area of social confidence and relationships and dating and self-esteem. And there isn't any quick fixes. The quicker you practice, the quicker you'll fix your problem. But there is no linear method, there's no step-by-step. If there was a step-by-step one, it's just go and face your fear and find the reason, which is a purpose. And the reason should always be confidence, it should be self-esteem, it should be ambition, it should be self-satisfaction. It should be wanting to do good for other people, but they all mean the same thing. They always come back to the same thing, as the poet Rumi said, when he said that every desire was the desire to be loved, or the desire to connect to love, or the desire to find the divine God. It's all the same thing, just in different names and languages, and we may feel it's the same thing. You want to find love, and you have to face fears to find it. And it's been my truth so far, and it hasn't changed, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. So anytime in my life, if I feel I'm lacking in love, I feel a little bit unloved on this particular day, or certain days, because sometimes we all get down, we're human, I still get it once in a while. If we identify with the mind, and especially if we're around negative people, we're taking in negative stuff, we can easily fall into that. And I just remind myself of who I am, what I'm grateful for, the things I've got in my life, more things that I want to achieve, connection back to God. And usually, as I said, I may be hiding a couple of fears. So this video for me now connects me to love, makes me feel great, definitely helps whoever's watching this. And that is it. That's how I overcome social anxiety, built social confidence, improved my finances, healed trauma, everything of pain, guilt, shame. Always had to face it. So I faced it on a practical social level, actually going to meetings, public speaking when I'm hundreds of dates. That is the practical level. And I've also faced it on a spiritual level, and I'm still facing it. A spiritual level is the spiritual work, working on your jealousy, your pains, your angers, aggression. I hope that helps. It's all about love.